Very good afternoon. I'm Pratap and I'm back. Well, the thing is, the black box is rocking again. We were here yesterday, and yesterday, it was a great discussion, blurring lines between commercially viable and critically acclaimed cinema. And of course, we had India's leading film critics and also the director of Chitrangada's film Surma. He was here, Shad Ali, and also a gentleman from Facebook. So that was a great conversation. This afternoon, though, let's change tracks a little bit, and we are discussing. Where is it? Unmasking the character actors. My cue sheet, this is what it looks like. It looks like a map. Yeah, so unmasking the character actors. That's so important, right? I mean, when I think of character actors, I think of who? I think of Gene Hackman. He was wonderful. What an actor, right? I think of Bachchan Saab. Bachchan Saab is just, he's a leading man, but he's also somebody who understands characters so well, right? Especially his earlier movies like Zanjeer, and recently I think Baghban. He was so good. And I think in her movie we saw Kulbhushan Kharbanda. He's such a wonderful actor, such a great character actor. He was great in Border. And so you know what we're discussing. Of course, this conversation can go in any which way possible because we are kind of unmasking the character actors. But before we begin, Mr. Sachin Chate, are you here? Yeah, so can you please join them? Yeah. Because we would like to welcome you officially now. He's a renowned journalist and he will take this conversation forward. Now, to do the honors, I'd like to request once again, so I've sent you a Facebook request, by the way. Mr. Rahul Ravel, jury chairperson, he hasn't accepted as of now. Jury chairperson, India and Panorama, so please do the honors. Jim Sarbh, that's his name, okay? But for me, he's Jim Sarbh now because he was so good in Padmavat. Yeah? And Chitrangada, the beautiful Chitrangada. Thank you so much for coming. Wonderful to see you. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Okay, so I'll give it over now to Mr. Sachin Chate, renowned journalist, to please take the conversation forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get cracking right away. Unmasking the character actors. We have two wonderful actors with us here. Yes, please switch off your mobile phones. We don't need any background music for when we are having a conversation. Two wonderful actors here. One, of course, who's been in the industry for more than 15 years now, and one who's made a mark for himself a mark for himself in a very short period of time. Of course, you've seen him in Padmavat. You've seen him as a terrorist in Nirja. You've seen him in Sanju, and you've seen him in a web series and much more. So we're going to have a conversation with them about their acting career, basically. And of course, we'll stick also to the subject, unmasking the character actors. Let's start with Chitrangada first, as I say, ladies first. And so talk us through about your journey. How did it begin? You started with modeling, if I'm not wrong, and you did a music video for Gulzar. So how did acting come into the picture at that point?
I just feel like I've repeated this so many times. Firstly, this is the first time I'm doing a forum like this. Thank you so much for having me here, and hi everyone. Okay. How did it start? You're right. I did start modeling in college for a little bit of money, and then that led to a music video that I did for Gulzar Saab. And पहली बार गुलजार साहब एक music video direct कर रहे थे, and Meghna Gulzar was producing it. So I actually met them the first time I ever got, so to speak, a movie camera, in front of a movie camera was for that. So then that happened, and then somebody saw that music video. Then they called me for audition that they were having for Hazaro in Delhi. They were auditioning a lot of National School of Drama people there. That's how I reached there, and then I got Hazaro, my first film. But even though you said it's 15 years, but I took like a good 6-year break in between. I think after 2004, and I came back in 2010. Nine. Yeah. So yeah, it just doesn't feel that long, but yeah, I've been around that long, and it's been lovely, especially after the comeback, sort of a comeback that I made. I think it just makes you value when you stay away from something. You value that experience that you had so much more, and you want it so much more. And I think you also want it for the right reasons then, because you realize what you sort of miss when you're not in front of the camera, or you're not being part of cinema, so to speak. So yeah, it's just sort of been an amazing journey, and having produced Surma this year has been another one which is totally unforgettable. Yeah.
Donning the hat of a producer, we also saw you in Bazaar. And Surma was screened here at the festival as a part of the sports section in the Kilo India Kilo campaign. But we'll come back to that. But Jim, it's been a relatively short but a very overwhelming journey, you can say, in a short period of time, because the kind of accolades that you've got ever since Neerja came out primarily. So, do you feel overwhelmed by the response that you're getting?
So I acted in theatre in the States and in Bombay for 4 years before I got cast in Neerja. So it's like the journey with acting in general has been an ongoing process. I was acting in high school. So as far as I was concerned, it was, I was hoping it was just a matter of time. So then when I got cast in Neerja and the role was enough to really sink your teeth in, I was very grateful to be given that opportunity first. Sometimes it is overwhelming, but more because of all of the people I suddenly have to deal with, not because of the acting. The acting I enjoy, I would like to be cast in everything always. It's more like managing this whole new world. So for a while it was a bit like birthing pains, when you're being birthed into a new, strange, confusing world where you have to handle, production, managers, hierarchies, egos, which is not as prevalent in theatre. It's different. It's because it's not a big commercial enterprise. Anytime anything becomes a big commercial enterprise, there's so many intermediaries and bureaucracy basically that you have to start to deal with. So mostly for me it's been understanding how to wrap my head around that world a lot more than being overwhelmed by the acting part of it. That I'm ready,
And you still continue doing a lot of theatre, so it may sound like a cliched question, but does that still remain your first love?
No, it's not a question of first or second loves. It's I've always wanted to act in films as well. I just never got cast, so I kept doing theatre. I just finished a play called Constellations at NCPA, literally on Sunday. Sunday we had a show at 4 and another show at 7. It's this intense play about multiple universes and the infinite possibilities in a moment, where I could answer your question in an infinite amount of ways, and that'll decide how the rest of this conversation and the rest of my life goes. I'm really fascinated with that idea.
Yeah, that does sound fascinating. But Chitrangada, when you started off your debut film, it was a big deal at that time, and you really made a mark for yourself in that particular film. And if I'm not wrong, it was Ketan Mehta, or there was an article in the Telegraph that said that you're going to be the next Smita Patil or something to that effect. Yes. Correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't it Ketan Mehta who said that?
Yes, it was actually. And the funny thing is that I didn't know who Ketan Mehta was, okay? So, I knew the films he'd done, but the first screening that we had, the very first screening of Hazaro, so he was there, so these very close friends, they were all there. And this man I saw staring at me from across the room after the screening. Everybody's sort of waiting to hear what the reactions are.
You mean one of the men staring at you?
Thank you, Jim.
Yeah, okay. So one of the men. But yeah, that was a very peculiar stare. He just kind of kept looking very intense, and I thought, okay, maybe look away. And I looked back and he kept looking, and then he started walking towards me. And I said, okay, let me start talking to someone. And then he walked right up, and he came up to me and he said, you are rare, and remember that. And that's all he said. And then he walked away, and I was like, okay, I don't know who this is, like trying to give me a compliment and all. So later I got to know that was Mr. Ketan Mehta. And he was so moved after seeing the film because he was very close to Smita ji. And I believe he was almost in tears, and he was like very moved. So yeah, he did say that, you remind me so much of her that I couldn't say anything at that point. I think that's probably one of the biggest and the best compliments. Until date, I remember exactly how he said it. So yeah, it was kind of special, very, very special. Yeah.